pill.
IRX2 regulates angiotensin II-induced cardiac fibrosis by transcriptionally activating EGR1 in male mice. Ever heard of a tiny molecule called IRX2? It might not sound like a superhero, but in the world of your heart, it can play both villain and hero, depending on where it shows up. Today, we're diving into the fascinating battle between IRX2, a rogue gene, and cardiac fibrosis, the scar tissue villain that can weaken your heart. Buckle up, science explorers, because this is where biology gets dramatic. Imagine your heart as a powerful engine, pumping blood throughout your body. Now, picture this engine getting choked by scar tissue, making it harder to pump and ultimately weakening its performance. That's why cardiac fibrosis is a silent enemy that builds up scar tissue, making your heart work overtime. And one of the potential culprits behind this fibrosis? You guessed it, our little friend IRX2. A recent study published in Nature Communications decided to crack the code of IRX2's role in cardiac fibrosis. In simpler terms, they wanted to understand how this gene influences scar tissue formation in the heart. They used some clever tricks on some curious mice, genetically manipulating IRX2 and observing how their hearts responded to a common fibrosis trigger, angiotensin II, a hormone that can make your heart work too hard. Remember scar tissue? It's like the body's repair patch after an injury. But sometimes, this repair goes haywire, like a construction crew building walls where they shouldn't. IRX2, it turns out, can act like the foreman of this construction crew, telling cells to build scar tissue even when it's not needed. So, the researchers wanted to see if removing IRX2, the foreman, could stop the unnecessary scar tissue buildup in the hearts of these mice when exposed to angiotensin II. To investigate this mystery, the researchers put on their lab coats and got creative. They used a fancy technique called gene knockout to essentially remove IRX2 from specific cells in the hearts of some mice. Then, they exposed these mice and some regular mice to angiotensin II, mimicking the real-world conditions that can trigger fibrosis. Finally, they peered into the hearts, measured scar tissue formation, and analyzed gene activity to understand what was happening at the molecular level. And guess what? IRX2, the rogue gene, lived up to its name. When it was removed from specific cells called cardiac fibroblasts, the construction crew responsible for scar tissue, the mice developed significantly less fibrosis after angiotensin II exposure. Their hearts were like well-maintained engines, pumping efficiently without the burden of excessive scar tissue. But here's the twist: this superhero act of IRX2 removal only worked in male mice. In female mice, removing IRX2 didn't seem to have a significant impact on fibrosis. This suggests that other genes, perhaps those on the female X chromosome, might be stepping in and compensating for the missing IRX2, keeping the scar tissue under control. So, what does this tell us about IRX2 and cardiac fibrosis? It's a complex story with fascinating gender differences. Understanding how IRX2 works and interacts with other genes could pave the way for new therapies to prevent or even reverse fibrosis in the heart. Remember, science is full of these hidden mysteries, and unraveling them one by one takes us closer to a healthier future for all. So, stay curious, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe someday we'll find a way to outsmart the fibrotic foe and keep our hearts beating strong. Thanks for joining me on this scientific adventure. Remember, the human body is a complex machine, and understanding its inner workings is key to unlocking the secrets of health and disease. So, let's keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep unraveling the mysteries of biology together.
Form a pill.